Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alexandria Thomas, and I am standing in front of you as a felon. And I am beating statistics, beating the odds, and I'm getting my bachelor's degree. So for this project specifically, it's going to be FormFel, a systemic program to reduce recidivism, because I've found that the resources that are available for people that have been in my situation and similar situations, they're not that good. So the plan for this, we were asked and challenged to create an improvement on current solutions to a problem or to create a new solution entirely. The problem that resonates with me the most, obviously, is this recidivism issue that we have in the United States. There are already established reentry programs and aids, but change has to come from within. This is why FormFel was created. Individuals will participate in a reentry program prior to release, a level system at FormFel at the apartment complex, and have access to case management services for 6 months after completion of the program. Encompassing crucial needs in small areas and giving people an environment to thrive has proven to decrease recidivism. To do this, we will apply 4 principal objectives, as you will see here and on your flyers for FormFel, the transitional complex. Oh, excuse me, it was on the first page. The 4 principal objectives being housing, education, vocation, and resource connection. On the flyer, you can also see what services will be offered at FormFel and the requirements to apply. For this specific population, the targeted population that would benefit the most from this program would be individuals with a high drive and determination who have completed an associated reentry program and will be released specifically into the apartment complex at FormFel. This project aims to help people who have been away from society, to help them adapt to the changes that have occurred while they were gone. Felons who are unaware of current resources or have opinions on how to improve them, or men and women who have been convicted of a felony sentence and have the desire and characteristics to reintegrate into society. So what's the problem, you may ask? Currently, we have a lack of inaccessibility to comprehensive and consistent care. Our current programs are remedial or non-existent, the programs prior to release and also after. And the implication of irrelevant and outdated policies and procedures that ultimately end up increasing recidivism. We also have our predicting factors of recidivism that are under our literature review main themes. In our research, I've found 5 repetitive factors that kept coming up in these people's dissertations. Predictive factors of recidivism, marginalized populations and racism, effective measures of evidence-based practices, the importance of interagency collaboration and case management, and solutions to collateral consequences. So what's the current big picture? While most of us have some built-in coping skills to help us handle what life throws at us, many people are struggling to stay above water when they're recently released, and having to deal with the challenges and the overwhelming feelings that are brought up to them. Challenges including maintaining housing, finding employment, and passing a background check. That's something that I'm still struggling with 10 years down the line from my felony. Individuals sometimes struggle with adapting from a typically aggressive prison lifestyle also to one where emotional restraint is optimal for success. So there's physical challenges, but there's also emotional identity crises that are going on that people have to handle as well. Let me get back to my notes. Okay. So, we see here that the formerly incarcerated individuals experience extreme rates of unemployment, with about 60% of people being jobless from the time of release to 4 years after release. This number is staggering when compared to the general population, whose peak unemployment rate during the pandemic only reached 15%. Additionally, the national research conducted by the Prison Policy Initiative found that formerly incarcerated individuals have 10 times more of a chance of being homeless compared to the general population. Regarding available services, as you can see here, we do have halfway houses, churches, reentry workbooks, job training and assistance. At the bottom, you can see examples of available resources. STL Reentry Collective is one that's mentioned in the research. The Lord's Place, a New Way halfway house, and Colorado Department of Corrections runs runs a wonderful reentry program. But regarding these services, they don't provide relevant care. You can't stick a person that's been sober for 20 years into a halfway house with a person that's been sober for 3 months and expect them to have any relevant chance or cause to do better, to not go back to prison. You're putting them in a dangerous situation. Additionally, job training in prison needs to be accomplishable after release. The U.S. has used prisoners to fight California wildfires, only to have them get out and not be able to obtain the certifications or obtain the background checks for these degrees. All right, so that brings us into our data collection methods. The way that we tried to figure out what would be the best solution and preventative measures to prevent people from going to prison was through a survey. For this purpose of the survey is to discover first-hand experience of the current reentry-related statistics of felons and to provide possible recommendations to prevent them entering the justice system. We asked basic demographic questions, such as how long was your incarceration, what entry services were provided to you before your release, how long was your length of incarceration, how old are you, and how many times have you been to prison? And to those answers, we did find that the majority of participants had only been to prison 1 time. You can see that here. With 3 people having been incarcerated 2 to 5 times, and 1 person was incarcerated 5 or more times. 6% of the people were incarcerated for 10 to 20 years, and we had a wide age group for us to actually disseminate and get a greater amount of results. When asking the tricky questions, we have here, such as what resources could have prevented you from going to prison, what resources were offered to you before and after your release, and what do you think could have helped in general. We have found, on the next slide you will see, that 14 out of 20 participants, or 70%, recommended that housing or vocational help assistance would be helpful in aiding to them transitioning back to society. More than 55% of participants did attend a reentry class prior to release, but 2 of the 10 attendees noted that the classes were irrelevant and ineffective. 7 out of 20 participants received no direction or reentry classes at all, and there was 1 single participant who was able to attend a single calm reentry program, which provides a vast amount of resources. They are a great program, but one crucial thing that they do not address is housing after release. Additionally, did you know, the numbers show that we want to work. We're not out here just trying to go back to jail. The numbers show that 4 million incarcerated people want to work. More than 93% of us between the ages of 25 and 44 in their prime working age are actively looking for work or working. In comparison to the broad population of individuals in a similar age group, 25 to 55, they're participating in the labor force at a rate of only 84%. Businesses can benefit from hiring felons by participating in the WOTC, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, for people who have been released within the last 6 months. So we plan to put this all into action through case management, access to comprehensive care, and relevant transitional resources all in one level system, as you can see on the right. If you picture that from the ground up, we're going to try to provide everything in one so that people don't have to go far to access these services. The solutions is going to be through relevant preparation for changes before release, all access care through child care, education and trades, psychological services, case management, etc., improvement regarding background checks and employment processes, housing and job readiness training, vocations and trades first, and evidence-based practices that are already in application. This Vice video is something that we are going to be applying specifically to the program. Would you mind?
Oh, Alex, can you stay by the podium because then they can't see you.
To make certain longtime inmates eligible for early release, using virtual. These 6 men were convicted of murder as teens in the 80s and 90s, so they've never even used smartphones. This year, Colorado created a program to make certain longtime inmates eligible for early release, using virtual reality to practice being on the outside.
Oh, this is almost like real. This is crazy.
Vice News visited the class as the inmates used VR for the first time.
This year marks 26 years. I was 16 when I was arrested. April will be 23 years, and I caught my case when I was 16.
I committed my crime when I was 17, and I just finished my 31st year.
I had to adapt in a way that no case could have to.
I worry every day that somehow not ever functioning in society as an adult it's going to be impossible for me.
Today, we'll be trying virtual reality, so it'll be new to you, but it's new to pretty much everyone. How do you feel about elephants? Want to see some elephants?
This is the first class of inmates in Colorado's Second Chance program. Their sentences were so harsh as teens that it was unlikely they'd ever leave prison. But since the early 2000s, the justice system has become more forgiving of young criminals. Now, these men have the chance to be considered for early release if they finish this 3-year program.
So take a look around you for a minute. Looking back of you. Turn around. And is it playing? Yeah. Right. And are they walking towards you? Okay, great. Did you feel like you were there?
My stomach was turning. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That wasn't cool. I wasn't expecting that.
The classes teach them money management and computer skills, but this is the program's main attraction. 360-degree videos get the inmates comfortable with the headsets and show them how much the world has changed.
Why don't we try self-checkout?
Now I'm going to show you how to check out of a grocery store and pay for the groceries you're buying using self-checkout.
And the store trusts the people like that?
Yeah, they do. You know, there's often sometimes someone standing around, but by and large, yeah.
You will scan and bag your groceries yourself. Unless you need help, there's no store employee involved.
What'd you think?
That was amazing. It's like you're in there. I ain't know them levels of trust in the world, but that you can check out your own stuff. But, I can stay on one of them things all day.
It's just a way different world than the world I remember. It was in some ways depressing how much of the world that you missed, after a quarter century, has gone by. It's a different planet. Yeah, I would not recognize that as a grocery store.
This is the other type of virtual reality. With what you had on, you could observe, but you weren't really interacting that much. So this is much more about interacting. This one is how to do laundry.
Okay, what am I doing? Separate the whites?
Yeah, let's separate the colors first, and you can put it into one of the other cards.
All day.
That's okay. But once they're done, you can put them in the dryer.
Ethan Muller started developing virtual scenarios for inmates 2 years ago as VR production became cheaper.
Oh, you're a tough guy, huh? Is that it?
He thinks it's an effective training tool for both sides of criminal justice. He's developing VR to train police officers in conducting traffic stops and de-escalating suicide threats, and to prepare inmates to move between prisons with less anxiety.
If you can take the outside world and move it into here so that they can practice before they get out there, I think it's going to be really helpful.
I'm pretty sure it'll teach me the small things, laundry, how to work a debit card, how to work a cell phone. I gotta learn those things first in order to move forward.
The next one is about how to handle a conflict. And so we're going to put you in a bar, and there's going to be a guy that's trying to start a fight.
I should be in the bar anyway, after the road.
That's right.
You looking for a fight?
No,
You just bumped into me.
it was tall as hell.
Half of all Colorado inmates will return to prison
5
within
more minutes.
that recidivism is lowered for violent criminals, the inmates are worried about their odds.
That's pretty intense.
I got in trouble when I was younger. And, well, I can't be a guy, but I can still be a grandpa. I'm just nervous about getting out and succeeding. I want to do everything that I have to do to succeed.
If they complete the program, their cases will go to the governor, who will decide whether to let them out. So it's possible their sentences won't change, and they'll stay in prison for decades.
I expected to spend my whole life in prison. And here, you don't learn to care about anybody, and you isolate yourself and you protect yourself because that's what you have to do. I just have to figure out how to not live in prison rules. It's the hardest thing that's gonna be for me, is to not be in prison mentally.
So as you can see, that's the type of style that I would like to apply into Form Fel. All access, taking care and addressing every factor that can come into play, and connecting everyone with the resources. So how are we gonna do that? What if the solution's already available to us, but it just has not been accumulated into an all-inclusive service? Here's the method that I plan to use to address the recidivism problem here. Step 1, prior to release, people would participate in trades and vocations that are directly in line with agencies that accept people with records. Step 2 is to locate and work with local agencies and companies to form a working relationship to hire vetted participants of the program. Fun fact, Waste Management has already hired a felon friend of mine that I know for $23 an hour, more than I made at that time. And collaborate with HUD, community partners, and other housing agencies throughout Florida counties and other already established reentry services to streamline housing after release and minimize transfer recidivism. Step 4 is to case manage clients through the level system and direct them to appropriate resources, save for independent living and achieve their goals. And finally, step 5, we're going to connect them with vetted realtors and landlords who accept clients who have completed the program successfully and have an additional component of case management for them for up to 6 months after completion. We already know the problem. Form Fel is the solution. Form Fel will work with state prison systems to help prepare people for transitioning back into society and gives them a place to learn and thrive after their release. Thank you.